Hi everyone, welcome to Little Wicket Railway. I'm Rob, and in this video I'm joined by Martyn Weaver, brand MD of Hornby.
Hello.
And do you want to explain where we are?
We are, yeah, because this is random, isn't
this
it?
Wasn't
this is
planned.
We do, as a brand, we do YouTube live, so people have seen our backdrops, our scenery, and our environment. But this is actually out on the old factory floor here at Hornby in Margate. We'll say why we're here in a minute. That's another
I'll
thing.
explain why I haven't broken in.
We're in an area now which is storing some tools. So basically, these are the things which make all of our amazing products across our brands. These are ones that aren't in the factory at the moment, and probably won't be for a while. So that's why they're in the UK and not overseas. And this is, we're just using up a bit of space. So around this, you can see lots of lumps of metal, and it smells of oil, doesn't it? It's got a aroma.
A musk to it,
aroma of, and it's hot as well.
It is boiling hot. It's 20 odd degrees outside, and this is greenhouse because there are.
We got a 1950s factory roof, so it's got the angles going up, and we actually make a model of this. So if people want to know what the outside of this building looks like, we've done a model of it. But yeah, you've got limited ventilation, lots of glass, and aircon wasn't a thing.
So the reason I'm at the factory is because this is the one-to-one collection open day, which is also linked to the Wonderworks.
Yep.
And it's physically linked because it is all in the same factory building.
Yep.
Which used to all be Hornby's manufacturing centre up until
2000-ish. It started moving over.
So over that side, we've now got the one-to-one collection.
Yep, the other building next door. And interestingly, the building next door was built later than this. So this building dates back well over 75 years now. But the building over there was added later. And that building over there was added later was actually when manufacturing moved to China. Because what used to happen when it was all done here is you make something, it goes out the door. You make something, it goes out the door. Whereas nowadays you're buying in containers and buying in bulk. And this, from a warehousing perspective, this isn't the right environment, because with warehouses you need height, you need to be getting lots and lots of pallets in. So this building here wasn't suitable for warehousing once production moved out, because stuff was coming in big volumes and out in big volumes. So the building next door where the one-to-one collection is, which is much, much taller, which originally was a warehouse, which is now where the locos are, is sited to our right at the moment.
Yeah, and it's pretty incredible because I thought there would just be a handful of locos there. There's actually a huge collection, and this is only part of it. Other stuff is out over in Derby site or running on the network.
Running on the network, there's bits and pieces everywhere. There's a lot on the network. There's stuff waiting to do on the network. There's stuff potentially out on hire as well. It's quite an extensive collection. And
it's quite nice because a lot of the stuff in there has been modelled by you and is in the shop over that side.
Exactly, yeah. We do the miniature version. That's where we come into play on it. That's what the great thing about being obviously on the same site. So yeah, anything that we can realistically make a model of that sits in the collection, we will do so. In the latest model out, the latest model out that's in there was the Class 60, the Brunel Class 60. But we have done the Mayflower has been released since, which is part of the one-to-one collection. However, that's out on the rails, not next door, sadly. Well, I don't think it's sadly actually, because it's nice that it's on the rails, and
Yeah, but the plan is sometimes things get swapped in and out.
They do.
So
we do see movement. And we never get told about it because of. I think they don't really want lots of people turning up with cameras because it's quite a logistical thing of getting stuff in and unloading it in the back. It's really complicated.
Because it's not connected to the network here.
It's not connected to the network. Everything comes in on a trailer. And quite often, the only time we actually know, as Hornby, that is not the one-to-one guys. Obviously, they know what they're doing logistics-wise. The only time we know about it is you might drive home and see in a lay-by on the Thanet Way. There's a half a loco. We know there's something coming in then, but it's actually it's quite amazing when stuff does come in, because you've got 8 tracks in there and they've been set at an exact height with big doors, so a lorry can reverse up and a train can essentially come straight off it onto the rails, then go into where it's going to be. But it's never that straightforward because they need to keep shuffling them around. There's sort of 8 sets of track and they can have multiple things in, and there's a jiggery pokery. So quite often something will be delivered and we put over there, then they'll move the lorry over here to move that off here to move that over there. So sometimes they can be shuffling for a whole day, bits and pieces, to get stuff in the right order. And the stuff's not running either, so it's quite often dragged by forklift. And of course, if you're dragging across how many tons of locomotive, everything's got to be done just right. So there's a bit of, but we only really find out about it, as I say, if we actually see something drive past, or we get told we can't park in front of the doors. That's often a sign, and there's a little bit of excitement when that comes through. You're like, oh, there's something new coming in. What could it be?
And then in between the Wonderworks, which is open as usual, and this special one-off open day.
Yep.
Not sure when that's going to be open to the public on a regular basis. To be.
Yep.
You've also got loads of stuff in the walkway as well. You've got model railway clubs and different societies and. Yeah, no, it's been really. You know, one of the things we've got the Wonderworks, which in its own right is a great attraction to come and visit for families, enthusiasts. For all of our brands, it's not all Hornby, but for all of our brands. But obviously, that side of it really is just railways, and it's the real thing and the real train. So people needed to come through this bit, and it's okay. It's not the most glamorous site, so we actually kind of created a road almost, and along that road. We have our brands there with latest releases, Skylectric layouts, model railway layouts, prototypes Key Model
running.
World there, aren't they?
We've got Key Model World, and they and they've also got a few, obviously promoting the great magazines they produce for us as well. And then you've got some model railway clubs who have bought some quite amazing layouts coming along in there.
Really good.
Kids just love it. They. It's our make for parents holding them up for that way, and we've also got the play trains area working. With sort of a specialist party organizer, and where they've got a whole kind of on the floor matted area for kids to come along and play. And
track everywhere.
We built that, and then we quickly on Saturday morning realised that we had to put some seating in because the parents wanted someone to sit down whilst the kids played, which is fair enough. That's what you want as a parent when you come to like this. You need a bit of like, go and do that for a minute so I can sit down, especially on a day as hot as today. It's hard yards.
Yeah, so that's the event. I've made videos about the one-to-one collection and the Wonderworks, so check those out separately. But whilst I've got you, I may as well probe you on some other things. So
please do.
Models that are due out soon. What's next? What are the next releases?
We've got quite a few things coming late out in August, and it's just about getting the order right. And one of the big ones will be the Flirt, the next Flirt, which is carrying the striking Pride livery.
Yeah.
That's a big one that's coming through. We've got the Class 800 coming through as well in the next few weeks. We've got Channel Packet coming, so that's early into next year. Now I'm trying to think, but there is a heck of a lot coming through in steam engines. And in rolling stock. I don't think we've got any diesels coming through, but we've got quite a list.
You answered most of this on the live stream the other day.
I did, yeah. So
it is in there. You've been
a bit. We've got quite the back end of August going to September from a new models perspective is busy in a good way. It's quite busy. So there's a bit to be keeping your eye out if you haven't got your pre-orders in, or you have got a pre-order in and you're waiting for delivery, etc. Then it's going to be a busy. Quiet into the summer before you get ready for Christmas.
Let's stick with 00 for now. So your launch, to me, it felt like a slight change of strategy, and that because I was saying I was really impressed with the railroad offering this time, in that it's not 1980s toolings being re-released at today's prices. There are some really good models in there, like the Class 800 Azuma. And it feels like maybe you've listened to what people are saying. They want quality models at railroad prices, and that's what the launch felt more like to me. It was really well received, I think.
Yeah, I know. It was positively received, and what's been kind of quite great with railroad is that people actually really do seem to understand why we do it and why it's there, and. We have been worried about that in the past. Is Hornby going to be perceived that all its models are at that level? And the answer is obviously no, because we've got a railroad level, and then we've got our higher detail level, which is where the kind of the mainstay of the market is. But people seem to differentiate between the two in the right way, because not everyone wants the same thing. Not everyone wants high detail, whether it's linked to cost, whether it's linked to handling it, or the complexity of operating it, the fear of bits breaking. Not everyone's the same, and no one's wrong and no one's right. And the great thing with railroad is that if a kid or someone that's coming back into it has kind of come about a train set, they can add to that with railroad level at a railroad price with the good functionality, and they're still good models.
They are still
but
good,
without having to have the higher end of it and the complexities that go with it. I'd imagine a lot of those people one day will aspire to that level, but right now, and I think we have to have the offer in for both. But what we hadn't really done before was we look at railroad in the sense of that we've got let's say a more basic older tool, something of 20 years or maybe a few more than that ago, we think, well, actually that is a much more basic model. It can be produced at a cheaper price. It's got less things on it. It's easy to handle, less to go wrong, all those kind of things. But actually, if we stop looking at about what we've got that we can offer versus what actually people want and need, we need more modern image. What about kids? What about if a kid wants a modern image class 800? What is the chances of them having £400? Some lucky might be to have £400 to have a train that they want, and that was something where we need to revisit that. And then the class 800 was the absolute obvious one. And let's do a railroad specification one of it.
But I'm right in thinking that still comes. Does that come with lighting? It's got directional.
It's got directional.
Lighting?
Yeah, it hasn't got interior, but it's got directional.
But that's still a step up from what things used to have. And has it got DCC sockets?
It's got sockets in it, so it can go over. Yeah, it can go over.
Things like that makes it a good model.
It does. And what we've laid out prototypes of it. We've got decoration samples of them now. And I mean, yes, it hasn't got the same amount of sort of separate later or post clip-on parts. Yes, the liveries are down a bit from what the main range model will be, but people seem fine with that because you've got the option. If you want that high one, there it's there for the taking. If you don't, you've got this, and mainly for kids. And one of the other reasons why we've done it was that, well, actually, let's look at a range of train sets. Train sets is still the main entry point for people entering in, getting started out. And really everything in our train sets was not something that you'd see on the rails today. So it's historic, it's fine, and it's got nostalgia, all those great things. But what about a kid who wants something that they've seen on a train that they've been on, one that goes past the back of their house, something that they see sort of much, much more frequently? It's not there. And you think, well, that's a really important audience for us. It's a really important audience for the industry.
Is that what you're sort of targeting then? Like, are you going to fill some of those gaps that are more
yeah, I think we will, people that will watch this video, people that will come to these shows, people that will buy model railway magazines, people that invest loads of their time and money in model railways, they do it because they love it. And there's no one, I don't think, that's in it that doesn't like it, otherwise you wouldn't do it. It's a hobby, so it's a great thing. So I think everyone would have to say, well, this is a nice environment, I enjoy it. Why would you not want to bring more people into that? If you realise something good, if you discover a nice restaurant or something like that, you share that information with people. It's because you want to invite more people in. And of course, the more and more people that come into the hobby you're in, it's actually a good thing. It doesn't mean that everything gets crowded. It means that there's more stuff. It just grows. Everything grows. The whole infrastructure of it grows with it. And we have to get new people into it. And I don't just mean, we're talking more about railroad, and maybe a lot of that is more for the potential for some of the things like the 800s for the younger market, but you've got people returning back into the hobby as well. I mean, that's where TT comes into play a lot as well. But we have to keep it going. It's a great thing, and it is in growth. And I don't mean to kind of come across that it's a doom and gloom and it's going downwards, because that's not the case. And you can see it from the amount of manufacturers there are, the amount of things that are going on, the amount of news there is. It's you have to really kind of keep your eyes open to keep on touch of things. So it's not that it's a market that's shrinking in any way, shape or form, but making it even bigger is better for all.
But just because you're now offering a really good railroad range doesn't mean you're going to neglect the top end stuff.
No,
because Phil, one of your designers,
Phil,
he was showing me your Black 5 with the Caprotti valve gear, and he's got a brilliant thing where it's all broken down into parts, all glued to the board, and it is an incredible amount of detail that's gone into that, and innovation, because he said they're still refining it now. There's loads of different bits going into it. He's even reworking, like refining the steam generator bits. So it's not like this is a new strategy that's going to...
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Our kind of dedication to let's say the established hobby or high end, call it what you like, it is still there. Definitely, the Black 5 is a good example of that, and there are kind of more to come. And the Era One's an interesting one, which I've had a lot of conversations about this weekend.
Does that sell well?
It sells well. We wouldn't do it if it didn't. It does perform well. There is. Where that interest came from, no one really knows. If someone had said X years ago, 5-10 years ago, Era One's going to be a really big thing, I doubt they did. But it's not until sometimes you do something that you realise that actually people like it, and we discovered that very quickly. Locomotion was the last model that we released, and we've done a few releases now, and it's been really, really successful. People do like it. It's interesting to see how they might bring that into their model railway environment, because of the settings for it would look quite different to how I would say 99.9% layouts now. But people seem to see through that.
And it sort of fits on a heritage, like you can kind of do Rainhill Trials type
you could
thing
do
on
it,
the layout. But so there's going to be more?
Yeah, all the time people want it, we'll continue to make it. It's not the easiest area to work in. I'm not going to lie about that.
Locomotion is horribly complex.
You got the complexity of it. You've also got the research of it. And it's something which, there weren't hundreds of these made like Black Fives. There's only one of them, and it changed a lot over its lifetime. So what, in a significant way. So what do you kind of model on it? So there has to be a bit more flexibility with Era 1 compared to what you would do with mainstream locos.
Yeah.
Across sort of like Era 2, Era 3, and onwards. But yeah, it's created interest. People like it, and so all the time that's there, we'll continue to furnish it.
Moving on to TT then.
Yep.
So from my point of view, I'm a 00 gauge modeller.
Yep.
And when TT was released, I don't know whether I've given my thoughts too publicly on this, but I was pretty sceptical.
Yep.
I wasn't too sure about TT. 2 and a bit years in,
Nearly 3.
It's
getting late now. Nearly 3. Yep.
Well, it feels established. That's what I mean. It doesn't feel new anymore.
Yep.
And I still don't own any, but I've had to resist buying it. I think now, if I was to start again from scratch, TT is where I'd go, because you can fit a huge amount in. We've seen layouts in action now.
Yeah.
And you have. So the first announcement you made, the range, seemed vast, and I just thought there's no way they're going to be able to deliver this in a sensible time frame. But you have brought a lot of models out.
Yeah.
Not all of them, I think, that was announced, but there is a lot of variety.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose if you look at what was on the initial list, we're probably only a quarter, a third, a best way through that, depends where you kind of want to look at it. And we've also we've done a couple of things which weren't on that list, where we learnt from the very first release of maybe actually what the market wants and what the market needs, because there's no way you can write a perfect script for this. The script in some ways writes itself, because you see how people react. No one knows what everyone wants until you see what people are asking for, what's selling, what isn't selling, and how people go about it. So like adding in the smaller steamers earlier, I think probably wouldn't have been in an earlier plan to go that early with them, but they've been extremely successful.
Because anecdotally, from what I've read in financial statements and what you've said as well, that it is selling very well.
It is doing well. It's doing well. It's growing at a very comfortable and sensible rate. And I mean, it always seems mad that what is a sensible rate, because if the quicker everything goes, the better. That's not always the case, actually, because what goes up too quickly, you have to maintain. And it's going up at a rate where we kind of feel where we can keep up with it. The market is wanting lots of things. There's a lot of excitement about what will come next. There's lots of things that are being asked for, and it feels a bit like a vacuum in some ways, in a positive way. You're being stuff is kind of being sucked out of you, rather than you having to push it out of you. And it's really great. But the standout, the thing with TT is the scale. That's the this isn't necessarily a huge new innovation as such. I mean, yes, it's got HM7000, which is an innovation, but it's just a different scale, and it is, for someone without any legacy product, let's say, it is the perfect scale, I believe, my opinion, and everyone's got their own opinion, may get shot for that, but that is my opinion. And you said earlier, if you were starting out
genuinely I would.
It feels about right. And we come to that even at this weekend, where we've got a relatively basic two loops of track, and people can see what fits in a space. Now, we've been promoting that in magazines, in digital, in all sorts of format, but when people actually see it, it's quite amazing. And something which I've seen now probably across 4, maybe 5 model railway shows, where I've seen couples of varying ages, stand back together and look at it and discuss it. Now, this is generalising a bit, but normally at a model railway show, and you do get couples and you get families come around, and there's normally one party is kind of more interested in it, and the other one is with them for the day. And you see someone looking closely, and you see someone waiting at the outside for how long are we going to be on this stand before we go on the next one. And
you're talking about my wife.
Yeah, and mine will be the same. But with TT, you see just sort of this thing together, and it's like, oh well, we didn't really come in here or wake up this morning thinking that we're going to do this, but that has inspired us. All of a sudden, that feels like something that we can kind of accommodate, we can kind of do. And that's really exciting, because that then it's bringing new people in, it's selling more product, which is obviously what we're kind of here to do. But there's a bit more joined upness of it.
The pricing's good on it as well.
Yeah.
I think the pricing for people entering into a new scale, to me, the pricing feels about right. Especially you've done a lot of promotions recently as well on the train sets and things.
And they have worked really, really well. And that is where, you know, looking at the people that have joined that route, because I like to look at this as not selling a product. I think it's more actually about bringing someone into this amazing hobby where they don't just buy a train set and necessarily run it around. If they do, that's fine, but generally people have aspirations to build, get more, whether it's scenicking or not, which means it becomes then more of a journey really than anything, and it's hopefully a positive journey. I think in most instances it is, and it brings a lot of pleasure, and that's really what we're trying to attract in. So, you know, we were talking about Railroad a minute ago, about that kind of more entry level, possibly kids or people coming into it as an adult for a first time or limited budget. With TT, it's just got this kind of...
You don't have the differentiation, do you? There's no Railroad TT.
There isn't Railroad TT, no. I mean, we have on the new branch line set, we have a slightly more basic vent van, open wagon, but
is that just going back to that concept of lower spec items in train sets? Because that was, again, from Simon's book, the Pullmans in the first train set they weren't the same spec as the Pullmans you could buy separately. And I think he said that was a mistake. Or
yeah, I mean,
in retrospect.
I've not experienced that mistake, and what I mean with that is I've not really heard that to be a big thing. But with when TT was launched, you had the two train sets. You had the Easterner with the A4, and you had the Scotsman with the A3. And the A3 is one that came out with the light up Pullmans, which are absolutely amazing. But it is £250. You know, it's worth £250, but
it's
quite a big. It's not like it's a big commitment. And the thinking behind branch line is that you've got this much thing. It's $99.99 retail when it comes out in a few months. It's just a much more safer spot. So when you mentioned earlier about us promoting TT, one of the ways in which we had done it for a short period in a press format was to get the awareness out there. We sort of like, you know, X down to Y, but actually with branch line you can do something more positive with it. You can say you got this, and you can have this on top of it for more, which adds more kind of play, right? So rather than pulling something down, you're kind of pushing something up.
Branch line is the TT equivalent of Railroad, is it?
It's no. It wouldn't be fair to say that, because the track and the controllers, everything is the same specification. The loco, the B4 which is in it, you know, if we had have done that loco as a B4 without that set in mind, I don't think it would look hugely different. The difference in it is in the probably in the two wagons. There is a bit more bait, but not enough for it to be a problem. But
presumably everything's newly tooled.
It's newly tooled.
The motor mechanism, all of that's going to be new design.
Yeah,
techniques. It's
yeah.
not like you're pulling it out of.
Nope.
Like old manufacturing techniques.
It's a small set. Let's also not forget that with the Easterner and the Scotsman, they were, you know, big locos. That's rake of three coaches.
My main gripe with TT, actually, if I was starting again, is that you love LNER, and I am a LMS GWR kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, you know, we just to confirm that we do listen and read the comments. You know, the GWR and to a degree the Southern conversation going on, which gets asked a lot, you know, that they are areas that we need to address, and you know, the thing is, when you move into a new either era or region, you've got to have the loco and you've got to have the rolling stock. So once you go in, it's quite a kind of a big jump. And obviously we've now started to obviously show signs of a bit more kind of southern content kind of coming through. The other thing as well is that, you know, when it comes to diesels, you know, the regionalisation can often sort of change a little bit, and diesel, or what we call blue diesel, it's been a very popular period for TT. When we look at all the things that we've produced and where a lot of the demand seems to be, there is definitely a kind of a bit of a sweet spot around that. And I don't want to say that TT is all about BR Blue, because not enough things have been done to prove that's the case. Now, if we did GWR steam, then that could be even bigger, who knows, or whatnot. We don't know yet till we get to it. But that diesel era has been really, really popular with modelers. And then, you know, if you do the maths back from who that era may appeal to, it tells you a little bit more about the demographic. And you know, the demographic for 00 is quite widespread. You've got your entry-level 8-year-olds with it. You've a few teens and bits and pieces, and then you've got probably a few in the 20s and 30s, and then in the 40s maybe a bit, the 50s, 60s and upwards. It's probably that's where the bigger numbers are. TT is kind of feeling a little bit different to that. And the reason why I mention that is it doesn't feel like it's a cannibalisation to 00, that people are like, well, I was going to buy a 00 set, but now I'm going to get TT. And that's really kind of where we would like to see a lot of the growth come from. Because
it doesn't feel like it's eaten away at that market.
No.
So I guess you say Hellion, some people say Helgen, who knows?
I can't argue that one was wrong or right. Yeah.
They've entered the market with a handful of locos. But I think interestingly, they were saying that they may have, you've created an issue for them because HM7000, people who have bought your models with HM7000, they now, who have no experience with model railways in the past, they think that is the norm, to be able to Bluetooth control trains.
Yep.
Where, they don't appreciate this is new technology and this is not the norm. So when I think Hellion were finding that they were bringing out locomotives with either standard DCC, and people were like, well, why doesn't it work on my phone?
Yeah.
So I think I'm a big fanboy of HM7000. I think he really pushed forward the technology, and that was a really innovative project. But I think it's created problems for other manufacturers. Possibly, and with that, there are ways around it. People have already expressed that, and there will be ways around it, and it's fine. We will find ways around it, and we don't really want to make anyone's kind of life hard, because I've always said before that we kind of welcome competition coming into TT, because it's a great thing, and there's so much to do, and there's this huge vacuum for it. But what's really kind of quite central in our thinking is things have to be kept quite simple. So if you've been into model railways for a long time, saying 00, you know a lot of people will know quite a bit about tech. They'll know quite a bit about the options. They know how to build model railways. They know how to troubleshoot. That's absolutely fine. But that's actually very daunting, potentially, for new blood. And even if they're relatively quite hands-on with technology, it can be quite daunting. So with something like with TT, we want it to be a smooth ride. You don't want it to be appearing to be complex. Yes, there are complications and complexities, but if they come at the right time for the right, then you learn as you go. But they can't be at the front, and I think that's why it's really important that the consumer, this potential new consumer, is considered in whatever happens in TT, because that's where a lot of it is going. Well, I got sidetracked talking about Bluetooth decoders, but I was going to say, so Hellion are on board.
Yep.
Pico have released some stuff.
Yep.
And I know other smaller...
Revolution as well. Revolution trains, yeah. Wagons.
I mean, even so, Coventry Railworks, he does a lot of 3D printing, and he's developed TT Hopper wagon kits, and he had launched a Kickstarter, and it was funded in minutes.
Brilliant.
So he hit his goal. So, and that's another part of the market, because he's not treading on your toes, because it's going to be kit builds.
These are the things that make it flow.
So would you let's say a Curascale, I don't think they will, or Bachmann, for example, just decide to enter that market. Is that good for you or bad for you, or pros and cons?
New manufacturers coming to it is a good thing. I do see it as a good thing. I just...
do you think more will come in? Is anyone making noises?
I think so. I mean, it's definitely... I don't know anything for a fact, and if I did, it definitely wouldn't be my place to say. But I think it's probably... I respect those other manufacturers enough to know that they would have considered it, because they're good at what they do, and they're good at spotting opportunities, and they're good at choosing models, and they're good at making great models. So I can't see anyone sort of sweeping it away without a thought. But it's really about kind of what's right for them. There are so many. There are other. Everyone's got their own projects they're into. There are other scales. Yeah, we're not in N. We're not in 009, and we've got O and G. There's a lot of other areas, and I appreciate that. Other manufacturers in those spaces. So I wouldn't kind of expect them to. But I also then wouldn't be surprised. But it wouldn't be taken as a negative thing from Hornby's perspective, as it hasn't been so far, with more manufacturers coming in, because we can't do it all. If we could do it all, we would do it, but we physically can't do it at that kind of huge rate.
The HM7000 decoders,
Yep.
you did that sort of half price or buy one get
Yep.
one free sale, and there was speculation that this meant version 2 was
Yep.
on the way. That's not the case.
I can't announce anything here today about a kind of a version 2 or change to our decoders. I mean, obviously, if there's any innovation in this space, there is always room to kind of grow, add new things and bits and pieces. So I'm definitely not saying we aren't or we won't, but it's that promotion wasn't linked to any thinking like that. It was more of a case of, we've got the anniversary coming up of HM7000. We know that a good number of people have invested in it so far, whether it's just the decoders or whether it's actually running it through Bluetooth and using the app. And we generally people are having a very good sort of response to it. But we also hear a lot of people at shows, and they come and see our layouts running, and they hear sounds coming out of things, and they see smoke coming out of things, and they're very much like, I'm everything I've got at the moment's analog, and now I'm thinking of switching over. And you just see a lot of these kind of like on the fence kind of conversations where people are like umming and erring it, and I'm one of those sort of people of an age as well that sometimes you need that little you umm and err and think about things for a little bit too long, and you just need a little kind of push. And that was the idea behind the promotion, is that if people have been umming and erring and think, it's going to be really expensive, we thought, well, we're 2 years old, so 2 for 1. So let's run it for a period and go for it. And
it was just to tempt people in.
It was to tempt people in. It wasn't to get people to fill their wardrobes as decoders to convert. It was to get more people going into digital to experience the benefits that come from running things on digital.
And it's fair to say it probably worked better than you expected, because you sold out.
It worked better than we expected, and complications come with that.
Yeah.
I'd like to say they're good problems to have, and I suppose that they are, but it hasn't all necessarily been smooth sailing, because we've gone out of stock on a couple of items, which by the way will soon be back in stock, and
they're on the way, are they?
Yeah, they're on the way, and really with something like a decoder, that should have 100% availability.
It wasn't a sale because of version 2 on the way.
Nope.
It was to attract more people into DTC, and you didn't expect it to go quite as well as...
Yes.
So you sold out, but they will be back in stock.
Yeah, very soon. You're
committed to sticking with this for the long haul, right?
Yeah, most definitely. And technology is always evolving, and it brings new things with it. But with something like HM, it's that if it's when how that journey runs, and making sure that it's a kind of a flow of a journey rather than an end of a journey and a restart of another. And that's one of the things that which we have to kind of maintain in it, is that if whatever we do go forward with tech perspective, it is a progression, and it's not something completely new, because number one, we don't need that right now. It definitely ain't broken, doesn't need fixing, and it seems to be going down well. It's more about the extras that could possibly come along, and
because you've sorted consisting out.
Yep, consisting's there now. So we're at this sort of stage now where everything that was on the original kind of list of what HM7000 would do, we've delivered, and it takes a lot of work. And the reality is, with that sort of technology, and by the way, I'm no expert in this, so the guys that are, they manage this, but what I see from my side of it is that a lot of work's been put into it to get it to here, but it doesn't end there. It's not like, it's live now, like that's over, sit back and relax. There are always updates, this and that now. So we've got to do work on the app because of the 6 and 8 pin decoders that are coming. There's slight variant. So these are all these things. There's just never, although this stuff might not be kind of like front of house and you see it as a new thing on the app or whatnot, that behind the scenes there is just constant things going on. Then you've got your Apple and Android updates being thrown in the mix as well. So there's all these things, and that alters the pace of things. It also makes you think long and hard about how complex you want to go with what it can offer, because one thing we don't want to get distracted with HM7000, it's an accessible product, just like we are an accessible brand. And what it means by that is that it's not the most complicated, the most expensive thing that is out there. It's there for kind of much more everyday use. I think the bit what we possibly need to think about, and I can't tell you what in any way, shape or form, is that are there extras that can be added into it, but you can still have a really basic experience, and those extras are for people that are a bit more developed in the hobby and want to take it a bit further, and that's kind of where a bit of our head is on it. But we will not be like 3 or 4 or 5 people and maybe a few kind of external people that support us that sit in a room and work that out. We would go down probably more of an insight route with it to see, to talk to kind of broader audiences to sort of get a feel for what actually kind of people really, really want. And then we have to then bring that back to the table to see what can actually be done. But there is, front of house, it looks like we're probably catching our breath a bit after all we've achieved with it so far. Back of house, there's still a lot of maintaining and getting everything, keeping it running and whatnot. But we do and we will sort of pick up and dust ourselves off and look for the next stage quite soon.
Yeah, because I guess you're a model manufacturer, aren't you? You're not app developers.
We're not app developers, and that's a specialist area. We use external resource for that, and there's it's a complex world.
So you're how many years into being brand MD now?
It's just coming. It's 2 this month. Around about now, actually. John, I've forgotten about that. I might buy myself a cake on the way home.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. It's been great. It's been incredibly busy. I've come back to the company 3 times. Now there's something in that. There must be something in it. So there's got to be something, I suppose, quite deep inside. Whether it's the brands, whether it's the people, whether it's a combination of them all. It's not this warehouse.
So you did Scale Electric, Airfix,
I've worked across them all. I was bought in when we bought Airfix in 2008. I then worked on Hornby for a year with Simon Kohler. I then went on to Corgi when we bought Corgi. Airfix was 2006, Corgi we bought in 2008, and then I was looking after Corgi in 2009. And then we had management changes. I left, went off, worked in the toy industry and a few other industries around toy licensing and collectibles. I then came back into the business to work for Scale Electric, to work on a sort of a project back in 2018 that was. I then left again, and then came back to work under our new CEO, Ollie, 2 years ago this month. And so back on Hornby this time. So I've done a sort of a bit of a full circle, but I love the brand. It's not the first time I've worked on it. I've got a great team of people to work with as well. Support.
You are passionate. You're passionate about the full-size trains as well. You're to the point of trying to leave your family holiday to head to Derby.
We weren't going to say that live, right? But no, that is true. The thing with the Greatest Gathering is it's an amazing event. There's so much stuff there, and social media. My social media is absolutely littered with it. And I've had a really painful few months because I didn't get Oasis tickets and I really wanted them. Then everywhere I went on social media, everyone but me, it felt was at it, and it felt a bit like that with the global gathering. So I did try to find a way to go, which would have meant departing my family holiday for a day and a bit, and I wasn't successful in that application. I think it's probably the best way to put it. But it would have been great to see it because it's a bit of a once in a lifetime. We've got added amount of FOMO, but the team went. Which is great. It was good for them. It was good for the brand to be there because it was an amazing event, and I kind of wish we had more of them because there's definitely what I call new blood in there, and that's really not a nice term, but it's new people to come into this great environment where we're at, and I think the more of that we get, the better. So it's about kind of sharing the experiences, and that an event like that definitely kind of brings that in. But the team got to go, so they lived the moment.
And the team they're all here today, and you seem like you've got a really strong team. Everyone is really passionate about being here. Like I've even met the HR director.
So and that's the thing with Hornby. You've got people that have been here for 40, 50 years of their life. And it is a company. There's probably a local connection thing to that, but there is an element of once it gets into your blood. And when you get something like this, people do come and sort of help out. They're working, but there is an element somewhere of pride in it, I think, which is kind of really nice. You don't get that in a lot of companies, so it is unique. Some of my team, or the railway team, are here. We've got a brilliant group of people here.
Thank you very much for inviting me along to the event.
Thank you for coming.
For spending a lot of time with me today, explain how it all works.
I'm really glad that you could kind of come down rather than it just being like a normal Monday to Friday when there's something going on for your visit to Margate. Appreciate you've had to work quite hard to get here.
So I've been up since 4 a.m. for this, but it was worth it. It really event.
Good. I'm glad that.
I still need to go have a wander around the Wonderworks if I've got time.
You haven't got long.
No, but it's been really good. I'll definitely be coming back.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
So there we go. As explained at the start of the video, this was all spur of the moment. We didn't plan to do any kind of interview. We were just chatting away, so thought it made sense to film it. And apologies for the quality of the footage. Airfix toolings don't make the best tripods. It's the type of thing I'd like to do again with a bit more planning. Let me know in the comments what questions you'd have asked Martyn or what topics you think I should have covered, and maybe I can speak to him about those in the future. Thanks again to Martyn for talking to me. Be sure to subscribe to the Hornby YouTube channel. He regularly does Q&A live streams on there. Special thanks to all the YouTube members and patrons for your support. It's very much appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Keep an eye out for the video on the one-to-one collection. That'll be coming out soon. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you again soon.